Hello again, everybody. Welcome to 2026 in the NPL New South Wales Men's, our match of round one. Spirit FC hosting the Sutherland Sharks. What a way to kick things off here. David Perkovic returning to the ground where he claimed an unlikely premiership with Spirit in August, leading a new contender for the title in the Sutherland Sharks. Few clubs have had such a steep uplift in expectations as Sutherland have this off-season. Just 3 points from potential relegation in 2025. Their squad has undergone an overhaul that places them amongst the premiership favourites in 2026. What a better way to stamp your title credentials than with a first-up win against the defending premiers. Spirit will be buoyed by that. They've retained a good glut of their squad under new coach Sergio Malfarra. They're thinking top six is right in their sights again. So new names on both team sheets. The first handed in by new Spirit skipper Sergio Malfarra looks like this. Chris Marks is back in goal behind a back three of Brady Smith, the skipper Grant Cornwell and Simon Nicholas, Aiden Mustafi and Zain Alawalia, the wingbacks, with Khan Nizam, one of the new signings, partnering Andre Takami. Shoki Yoshida, the signing from Canberra, Croatia, who visited here in the Australian Championship, flanks Callum Kearley with Costa Petratos off the left. His signing after 13 minutes of his season had gone when he injured his knee last year, playing for Sutherland, and was ruled out for the remainder of the campaign. He lines up against them here in 2026. And for David Perkovic, 13 new faces. His first 11 contains 7 of those new faces. Daniel Nizic is in goal behind a back three of Jamie Pashevsky, Thijs van Amerongen and Brendan Gann, the skipper. Yanni Nicolau and Jordan Perez, the wingbacks, with another one of those new signings, Japanese import Yuto Kokuryu, who's come down from the Gold Coast Knights, partnering Tarek Meyer in midfield. It's a very similar looking front three. Takumi Afuka, one of those who's followed Perkovic to Sutherland, along with Danny Choi, who signed from Blacktown City, and Nick Olsen, last year's gold medal winner, leading the line for his junior club. It's a massive day, one which may well set the tone for both teams. 2 new skippers, 2 new look squads in their majority, and a very healthy crowd in. No doubt Spirit's entrance into the championship late last year has meant a growing number taking interest in their success again this year. Brilliant to be back with you on the Football New South Wales YouTube channel. Our referee Hayden Langholt stands at the ready to get us underway. Spirits in the premiership winning yellow and black, and they are underway. What will this season bring? More surprises, no doubt. And an extra voice in commentary every now and then. Jude Dolan is alongside me, Alex Molchanoff today. Jude, what are we expecting here over the next 90 minutes?
Well, Molchi, firstly, thank you so much for the beautiful introduction and perfectly setting the scene here for all onlookers at Christie Park, as season 2026 is well and truly underway now. The first weekend could not have served up a more spicy fixture. It's the Perko Derby. I know I said it in our little socials clip. I'm sure we'll say it a lot more throughout the history of this fixture, because it looks like there is going to be some history in it. These two look quite good coming into this season.
Sutherland have built such a strong squad on paper, but how will they gel? There was a couple of pre-season games that were cancelled because of weather and other obstacles. David Perkovic has said in press that he's been pretty happy with preparations overall. That's the only slight drawback that he's had. And interesting to note, Jude, that Sergio Malfarra has not moved too far away from the structure we saw a year ago. Or is it a back four that we're seeing from Spirit in these early stages?
Well, they definitely look solidified early. I know there's so many changes. We talk about where they are and where they aren't, but from the 18-man squad that played in their last competitive game in the NPL New South Wales, 7 of those players have departed, 3 of which have gone to Sutherland. So there'll be definitely similar structures across the park. It just depends whether it's for the yellow and black.
Now you can see that mound of sands down there. There was a little bit of concern over whether this game would get underway. Daniel Nizic's goal at the moment, the one Sutherland are defending in the first half, had a bit of turf basically torn up out of it. The referees observed that it had almost turned into a tripwire. So that's been filled in with sand to allow us to get underway here. There's a little bit of concern about that, wasn't there, Jude?
Perfect opportunity to say for the first time this season on the call with you, Mulchi, our new slogan at Football News for the year. It's real football and it's homegrown, and that exactly epitomises it.
He's not seeing too much of the ball at the moment, Daniel Nizic. Sutherland have started right on the front foot, as we might have expected. Simon Nicholas, who didn't miss a game for Spirits, barking orders at those in front of him to present some sort of high line. And an energetic start from both teams. You expect nothing less in round one. Press comes from Khan Nizam on another former Spirit favourite here, Jordan Perez, and it is dispossessed by Alawalia. Petratos brought down right on the edge of the box, and to the delight of a very healthy crowd here, it's the hosts who have the first attacking set piece of the, well, I was going to say evening. We haven't quite got there yet.
No, but I feel like we will, and by the time we do, there'll be some certain spice in this one, because for those that might have seen it on our broadcast angle, no love lost between Jordi Perez and his former teammates there. There was the likes of an Alawalia making sure to get a nudge in.
They don't have him to take these. Set pieces this year. Called in 2 of them. One of them against Sutherland in the corresponding fixture here a year ago. Sutherland escaped with a 1-1 draw that day, thanks to an equaliser late in the second half from Richard Shuekin. Not in the squad today for David Perkovic. And it's Shoki Yoshida, one of the new signings, to bend that one in. And Brendan Gann had to be well positioned and flick the ball behind. Spirit continuing to build pressure from these early set pieces.
There's a dangerous weight on that ball in as well. And if they can get those set pieces right, it's only a matter of time until there's an awaiting head at the back post, ready to poke it home and get that elusive first goal here at the Arctic Circle for 2026.
It's not living up to that name at the moment, is it?
No, there is a breeze, but not as much as we'd expect in the winter months.
About 28 degrees here at kickoff as Yoshida runs that one in. It's low, half away by Pashevsky. Still not completely clear. Cornwall, what a story if he was the first scorer. Over goes Olsen, bodies falling everywhere. And the Sutherland striker wanted a free kick. This protest waved away by the referee, and Sutherland's quick start has been very much cancelled out by Spirits. Basically on the back of their press, really, hasn't it been, Jude? Suffocating.
It's just full energy for a start. I mean, we're only 4 minutes into this one, so it's about how long you can keep it up for. But across every man, there's 3.
A lot of yellow swarming towards Nick Olsen. Again, they've dispossessed him. Alawalia. Well, given his break into first grade by David Perkovic a year ago. Now the pressure relieving free kick, won smartly by Afuka. Got the wrong side of Nizam. Sutherland needed that. No David Perkovic teams. They want to play with the ball as much as possible. It's not to say they aren't able to absorb pressure. Spirit's defensive record last year under him, one of the best in the competition. Second only to Marconi. The time we got late in the air, and there's a coming together off the ball. Jamie Pashevsky and Spirit's new English signing, Callum Keeley, has found himself booked by referee Aidan Langholtz, who did well to spot it. It was right in back play, Jude. I'm not sure if you got a better view than I did, tracking the ball.
Unfortunately not, but it's not the first off-the-ball incident that we've seen in the early exchanges of this one, and a very early first booking. But it's just about how many will follow it. If, again, as I've mentioned a couple of times already in the early exchanges, this angst keeps up. There's obviously feeling out there, and both of these sides with the rebuilds of both in mind. Obviously, Spirit wanting to retain that premiership this year, despite potentially so many people thinking it be really possible for them. There is a need to make that first win today.
Shockey nearly making something of that. He bundles over Gann. No foul, says the referee. Can't take your eyes off this at the moment. Thrilling fair. And Alawalia has a chance to line up. Blocked at the top of the box by Kokoryu. But that touch has taken it behind for another early Spirit corner. Alawali has been very bright to start this game, darting in off the right wing, getting himself involved in play. He's brought to the club as a player who was most comfortable in wide positions, but was used every now and then by David Perkovic as a central midfielder. That was a sort of shooting opportunity that pops up in that position more often than not. Shoki Yoshida with another cross. This one up rather than out by Pashevsky, and we'll do it all again.
Yeah, it's good to see Awalia back in Spirit colours again for another year. The young 22-year-old. Again, he's versatile out on those wings, but again, adding to versatility. And a player that is so used to being distributed to out on the wings has to be the distributor. Of course, you're going to want to fire every now and again from well downtown.
Shockey with a fourth corner. So plenty to do in the early stages. Comes out to Takami at the edge of the area. One of Spirit's brightest in the second half of last season, but he's lost out there. And Tarek Maya with a very audacious effort, which doesn't bring compliments from his coach. A couple of Spirit hecklers have made their way down alongside our commentary position as well. On the western side of Christie Park. Alawalia and Afuka threatening a coming together, and then a very big smile shared between the two former teammates.
Well, that just re-references that both sides have got so much at stake here in their own camps. There might be a bit of it that comes out in tussles, but both of these sides you'd expect to be up there at the end of this season. They're only going to do so by being as good as they can between themselves, not just being scrappy.
I wonder how much of this game will be reliant on the knowledge of each other that both these sides have. So much crossover between the two, even down to Costa Petratos, who started last year at Sutherland. It's made the switch. He's the only one that's made the switch the other way. Gave us all the storylines coming in. It's providing one or two for us in the first 10 minutes of action as well. It's Takami. Nice work between Cornwall and Smith. Takami having to stretch for that, and the pressure of his former left wing back Jordan Perez forcing the error. Had a tough season last year. Jordan Perez struggled with that left knee injury. Both patella tendons at different times were giving him issues. Managed to start 15 of the 30 league games, but had a fair impact in his time at Spirit nonetheless, the former Olyroot. And Simon Nicholas, who is often slotted into that position in his absence, more comfortable now on the left side of a back three. One of the first names on the team sheet for David Perkovic. I can't see that changing under Sergio Malfara this year. Spirit have played some nice stuff here. Building slowly from the back. Cornwall bundling over Meyer with the hip and shoulder, and he got plenty of the ball, the Spirit skipper. I think in the modern day, though, the referee's always going to blow challenges like that up.
Well, you can see those ones from a mile away when the first touch is just too heavy. There's only one way it's going to end. Fair play to Meyer for getting up so quick back on his feet. The likes of a subby that would be wanting to have another special season in Spirit colours. Not sure of the exact number, but 22 perhaps now for that man at this club. He's been around these parts for quite some time.
So I think we're approaching 500 appearances at first grade level for Spirit FC. Nice touch from Afuka as he tried to dart away from Cornwall, turned it over to Alawalia, and now Thijs van Amerongen able to get on the ball. Signing from down in Victoria, where he was a key part of Dandenong Thunder's very impressive campaign last season. Only second year outside of his native Netherlands. He's playing this ball long towards last year's gold medal winner Nick Olsen. Stooping to make the block was Smith. And he's not able to keep the ball from going behind for a first Sutherland Sharks corner of 2026. And it was the direct ball that put the Spirit backline under pressure there, Jude.
Well, you could see Chris Marks as he just sort of made that decision whether he stays or goes from already quite an advanced position. It could have been ugly, but we got trust in the Spirit backline. It's now just about if we've got trust in whatever they've been building at Seymour Shore in terms of set-piece practice over the off-season, which for theirs is, well, it's been far bigger than Spirit's off-season, that's for sure.
Let's see what the former J3 player, Yuto Kokoryu, can muster up here, but Brody Smith is the first man, and it didn't beat him. Olsen trying to make something of the scraps. Press comes from Nizam, which draws one or two tries, and then an ironic cheer as the ball is almost fired into those supporters.
This is right up there with one of the best atmospheres at Christie Park that I've witnessed in time covering this great competition. Indeed, in their Australian Championship matches as well, we've just seen the crowds continue to build. The belief has come to this great community club that has risen up through the ranks. Season 4 in the NPL Men's New South Wales, the top flight of the state now. Never were there before, and what a statement they've made in their years here so far. I feel like those numbers are going to keep on growing, and indeed the banter and the chants and the jeers from the sideline.
It's another long ball. Choi, not on his favoured left foot. Struck it pretty sweetly, but Marks had a good view and saw that it was flying over his crossbar the whole way. Clearest chance of the game. Falls to Sutherland's new signing. Choi, well, you'd usually at least expect a player of his quality to be forcing a save out of the goalkeeper there.
Yeah, it'll be different in 2026, seeing him in the sky blue of Sutherland Sharks. He's so iconic in the black jersey of Blacktown, and indeed wherever else he's been in terms of his career, both here and overseas, which has stretched quite some time now. We've known his quality.
Takami with a lovely ball that's taken Nizam just a bit wider than he wanted, and in fact he couldn't reel it in. Well, one thing that's not going to change with David Berkovic now in the Sutherland coaching box is his very direct instructions to his team. Sergio Malfara has been pacing the edge of his technical area as well. Oh, and Nizic with a terrible turnover to Andre Takami, trying to play through Spirit's press. It's wide to Shockey. It's a decent ball just behind Costa Betrados and swept away by Perez. So they've edged the opening 15 minutes here, Jude, the hosts.
Well, that's where they're lucky that Analawalia wasn't in his usual wing position, because if there was someone running in there on the edge of the box, Daniel Nizic would have had his head in his hands for quite some time. Done well to get out of danger, but not entirely as of yet.
Betrados is touched down, picked up by Shockey. Just couldn't evade his countryman. Couturio stepping in there for the first time as Aidan Mustafi. Brought in for the Australian Championship and was one of Spirit's brightest performers of their campaign that ended in the quarterfinals. A 2-0 defeat down at Lakeside to eventual champions South Melbourne. Really sort of forged the path into that competition now. For teams from New South Wales, Sutherland trying to become the second entrants today. Or this season, I should say. Nizam's shot easily claimed by Nizic. Well, I say that. It's had a bit of an iffy start. The Sutherland skipper and Gloveman spills that one. It's a bit of a soft corner, all things considered. These corners continue to tot up. They're 6th already by my count for Spirit. You just see this ball's crossed in that piece of turf that was pulled up pre-match. Daniel Nizic is now having to goal keep behind. He's trying to step up and get in front of it as much as possible, but it is a real headache for a goalkeeper. Shockey's ball again. Paszewski clears again. Nicholas to recycle. Kami's floated to the left. Now Mustafi. Driving towards the box. And Brendan Gann crossing cover. Didn't need to get his foot involved and concede the corner this time. Just a goal kick for Sutherland, but still they've got to find a way out of their own half at the moment too. They are just absorbing wave after wave of Spirit attacks.
Yeah, they've been inspiring in the way they've been able to hold out the home side, but indeed we haven't really seen much from an attacking standpoint as of yet. There's obviously so much question about how different the attacking would be this year for the home side. With the likes of, obviously, we've seen Nafuka already switch shirts, but looking all right so far.
Nicholas in a crossing position, and Perez back to clear the danger. Sutherland obviously with a plan to play out whenever possible. They are not able to play through the press of Sergio Malfaro's team at the moment, which has been right on the money. Another chance for their new Japanese signing to deliver a corner. Cornwall's wrestling in there. Again, Paszewski above the pack. It's three Sutherland players converging on that ball. Eventually, Gann stuck out a right boot and got the ball clear. Mustafi wins it back. I feel like I'm watching a tape on repeat at the moment. Spirit right in the ascendancy, but haven't created a clear-cut chance for all their territorial and dominance of possession. Cornwall under pressure from Olsen. Dragged to the turf eventually by the Sutherland striker, and that was a foul of frustration. David Perkovic is livid.
Well, I'm already quite looking forward to the next episode of the Sutherland Sharks mini-series documentary on their YouTube channel. As their cameras are down there just below our broadcast one. And definitely would have been able to capture the little afters there between Nick Olsen and Grant Caldwell, the Spirit skipper. There were some words exchanged, not exactly sure what they are, not exactly sure what the feeling lost between them two could be. I'm trying to piece together the narrative, but maybe there isn't one. Maybe it is brewing in 2026, as we say, and these two potential powerhouses getting right stuck in the early exchanges.
That time it was Perez, the meat in the sandwich between Alawalia and Patratos. Nicolau, such a wonderful athlete, the former MacArthur Bull. Signing by Steven Zoric in the second half of last season, played a key part in Sutherland's survival run towards the end of the 2025 campaign. Van Amerongen, it's a good ball over the top. Perez with a positive first touch, and Smith a crossing cover. One of the more remarkable things about what Spirit managed last year was the amount of injuries they had to go through. Corey Cavanagh's still battling, so not in the side today. Brady Smith played less than half their 30 fixtures. He was one that I know the club would have liked to have access to more regularly, hoping that's the case in 2026. For a small club without the depth of some of the big boys, it made the achievement of finishing top of the league after 30 rounds just that bit more special. Amongst all that, the statistic coming out of the previous meetings between these two is the fact that Sutherland have never lost at this ground. Only the 3 meetings prior to today. Even last year, amongst their dominance, Spirit weren't able to blow the Sharks' colours on their own ground. Another wry smile between Takumi Afuka and a former teammate. This time it was Brady Smith. Kukurio falling and wanting the free kick. It was never coming his way. Nizam trying to link up with Petratos. Meyer dispossesses him. Olsen turns smartly past Nicholas. Might look to fire. He's nudged over by the retreating Spirit centre half. And there's a wave of the hand in half apology for Simon Nicholas as his name is added to Hayden Langholz's notebook.
Well, not shy of brandishing the cards where needed early on. Sometimes you see games like this breathe a little bit more, but assertiveness from the officials, and, well, Nick Olsen, if he wasn't obstructed there, you could see him winding up to have a perler of a ping. I guess we'll never know exactly how that one would have gone, but off the dead ball, another chance for Sutherland in a favourable position.
I've got the feeling Simon Nicholas wasn't too bothered about whether he blocked the shot or brought down Olsen. He just didn't want him firing on that dangerous left foot. Produced 16 goals last campaign for Wollongong. Only behind the return of one Alec Urasevsky across the league. Meyer over the free kick though, and it's a bending one that forces a very good save from Marks.
Happy with that effort is the Southo number 10. Why wouldn't you be? You've only required the best of Chris Marks to keep it out of where the Spiders live. And the first goal at the Arctic Circle for 2026 was almost a screamer. It still well could be. But that's much more inspiring from the away side.
Scored a beauty. Round 29 last year, Tarek Meyer basically confirmed that Sutherland would be playing in this division this season. Dangerous ball played in. Kukurio. Again, he and Shockey have been trading blows basically from each end in terms of corners, but have not been able to find the right colour of shirt in the centre of their respective 18-yard boxes yet.
I was just about to add how humorous it would be if, after all of Spirit's attempts off of the corner kick, one of the very first ones waved in by the Sharks results in the first goal.
Perez with a long throw. Costa Petratos back, lending a helping hand. His flick on made it a very easy gather for Chris Marks. Cornwall going route one. Keeley putting Pashevsky under pressure. Those two have already had a little off-the-ball fracas in the opening quarter of this round one fixture. He's trying to break the trap. Cornwall there to pounce on the scraps for Spirit. And his delivery thumps into Perez. Spirit trying to get up to 10 corners before half-time here. Well over halfway as we tick past 25 minutes.
They're going to keep on happening if Cornwall and the like keep on having flurries forward and trying to whip balls into the box that get deflected. I've got to say that the skipper's been looking one of the most inspiring so far.
Costa Petratos delivering this one. It's better directed towards Eden Mustafi. Half a thought that Spirit should have had another corner. Still hasn't been a clear signal. No. Pat Talecki, the assistant on the near sides, has said goal kick.
Well, that's their best one of the few so far. The most obvious of a chance to get a yellow and black head on it, rather than that of a clearing Sutherland Shark, which they've been across pretty much everything in that penalty box so far. As we tick over 26 minutes, it's a matter of how long can they keep it up.
It's the first time that Nizic has gone long from one of those goal kicks. And it might reap the rewards that Sutherland are looking for. Afuka's poked ball into the middle, swept away by Nicholas. It's a battle those two would have gone over in training plenty of times last season. Olsen with a flick on, it comes to naught.
I was just thinking about That ball through from, I've got to get used to this, the Sharks, number 7. He knows every blade of this grass, no doubt, and the trickery. It's just about if it can transpire. There's a couple of those that have made moves now this season. Again, we talk about teams of champions or champion teams. Great individuals, but when they gel together, will it work? Can it work? I suppose these are all the big questions for these first few rounds of NPL Men's New South Wales season 2026.
High press pays off for Sutherland this time as Choi dispossesses Nicholas. Meyer shrugs off the attention of Alawalia, and Nicholas driving towards, or Nicolau I should say, driving towards the area. Nicholas recovering his own initial error. Sutherland have got a corner to take. This is going to be a fun one for Nick Olsen, who's got that big mound of sand we've been talking about to contend with here. Less than ideal run up for the corner taker. Get the feeling this first half is going to be defined by one of these set pieces found in the back of the net. Smith diving ahead of Choi to clear the danger. Good purchase on that header as well. Olsen continues from the throw quickly. Bouncing ball was awkward for Choi. And Olsen wanted to let the ball run out of play. He was nudged into it by Mustafi, and Spirit get a pressure relieving throw as we tick towards the half-hour mark. Been a gripping watch.
It's been tense. It's been good. It's been a showing of, again, I reference both of these teams wanting to really make a name for themselves, stake their claim on the early rounds of this season, looking to do it right from the get-go. Here's
a chance for a Fuka. It was a sloppy turnover in midfield by Costa Petratos, who's not one you associate with such things. Resulted in another very good shooting opportunity for a Fuka. Flashes wide of Marx's right-hand post. That's where the opportunities are coming from for both teams at the early stage. It's been a hot day in Sydney. It's about 28 degrees at kickoff. Heat haze sweeping over Christie Park. Wonder if they can keep it up. That's a very dangerous ball from Petratos. A yard or so from finding either Keeley or Shockey, who'd made the deep runs into the area. Sensing goals at the moment.
Well, we know the talent that man possesses, the Spirit number 10. And if he can really get firing again, in the ways that we've seen him do so in this league in the past, of course, in his time for St George City, in his near 60 appearances there, upwards of 20 goals, and what goals they were.
Sam with a clever win. Perez, because of the fact, I think that's the second or third, this time is booked to his displeasure. And to cheers from the Spirit fans. Second Spirit player to have his name taken this afternoon. So a two-man committee over the football again. Andre Takami and Shoki Yoshida trying to sum things up here. Yoshida didn't get a goal to his name in the championship. It was prolific in the NPL ACT a year ago. He's going to leave this one for Takami. Crossing deep, and Amaronga got the initial touch, and Keeley struck that so sweetly. It was a brave soul that stuck their body in the way, because that was travelling. And in fact, Brady Smith, the centre-back, showing a forwards technique. Daniel Nizic saved by one of the numerous bodies that had gathered in front of him. Spirit looking the more likely after half an hour. Shockey over to the far side of Christie Park. That's very high in the air. Mustafi's there. Punched away by Nizic and headed home by Petratos. The Premier's lead on the opening day. And Costa Petratos has a very happy welcome back to football indeed. Another Spirit set piece, and this time the Sharks couldn't hold out.
The first of his, hoping many for that man in season 2026, a redemption season of sorts for Northwest Sydney's new number 10. If he can replicate the goal-scoring form of some of those boys that we mentioned earlier, Mulchi, that they're missing this year, the changes up front, that was the fear, that it might be quashed very early in this season as they take the 1-0 lead over, well, Sutherland Sharks. And that name in itself this season bears quite some weight. So the feat is theirs, the reigning premiers.
Well, it's an early first blow, but the Premiers have landed on another opponent at this ground. Actually breaks a bit of a duck over the course of the championship. They got up to a run where they'd only scored the first goal once in their last 8 games, Spirit FC. This is exactly the start they would have wanted here. A strong challenge from Shockey on Maya, who stayed down. And then when the rebound came back to him, as he tried to spray the ball to the right-hand side, Hayden Langhorst was unfortunately placed. And this doesn't look good. Tarek Maya went down heavily in the initial challenge with the Japanese winger. And play is going to be stopped. He's in quite a bit of pain. Here's Sutherland's number 10. Sharks supporters have grown so fond of early in his time here. Ended a run of 7 seasons at Sydney United that were full of success to make the move here in the middle of last season. And Sutherland having just copped the opening goal of this game. May now be set, we hope not, but it's certainly looking that way, to lose one of their most important midfielders, Jude.
A real shame indeed it would be, because one of the men that can be really attributed to keeping them in the position of being a top flight team and being able to build this project this year in the top flight.
Hand is up from the physio, so no signal for a substitution just yet for Tarek Maya.
A nod of the head in a reciprocation from Perko down there as he assesses how to close out this half, how to use these last 11 minutes or so to obviously ideally get back into it, but just keep solid defensively, where it really took something strong like that Petratos header to finally break them down. Been good otherwise. Can they just make it happen in attack?
That's all they need to happen now. Olsen is at times very isolated and is frustrated at having his shirt held very firmly there. I wonder if the physicality of this game is lending itself to Spirit at the moment. The referees have been lenient, and I think the argument coming out of the Sutherland technical area is that perhaps that's advantaging their hosts.
It was one thing that I certainly don't reckon I'm alone in thinking over these last few weeks as we head into the new NPL season. And indeed, this has been on the minds of a few for quite some time when we saw the 2025 schedule. With a Spirit that played part in the championship and a Sutherland that have had since the end of last season, no finals, no nothing, to do this rebuild. Of course, we've seen everything they've done off the pitch, but it's on the pitch, the bodies-wise. The turnaround, the ability to get yourself ready, to be fit and firing. When it comes to physicality, I would have thought there would have been more of the ascendancy from Sutherland, but, well, Spirit getting stuck in and showing that maybe the minimal off-season that they had, still they made the most use of, and they're looking good for 2026.
I think this is going to prove a few pre-season predictions wrong. I thought they might just fade away. They think they're right amongst the title chances again, a year after claiming their first New South Wales Premiership. Sliding challenge from Mustafi, just a little late there. That stoppage has just brought a bit of air out of this game, which had been unrelenting for the opening half hour. Well, if this is what we're expecting the entirety of the year, it's already a step up in pace and intensity from what we saw a lot of across the competition a year ago. Kukuryu looking for his countryman of Fuka. Cornwall is not too fussed about anything tricky in that position. And this is an interesting one. There was a ball down there, but it looks as though it's one of last season's. Spirit are going to find one of 2026. Now Jordan Perez can fire in. Almost a 1-2 with his old skipper Cornwall. And that might fall for Nick Olsen. His touch is away from one. And Marks dives gratefully on the football. Only needs a moment. The 2025 gold medalist hasn't quite fallen his way in the opening 37 minutes.
You could tell that he had to use all of his sharpness and expertise to calculate that first touch. The way that it fell across his body. Unfortunately, he was not able to beat Marks there for the second one, but there were so many options there. Maybe a header first time, maybe it was a bit below the head by the time it had reached him in that position. But again, well calculated, and you could tell the expertise of the man.
Speed of thought as well as of foot. It's always been one of the strengths of Nick Olsen since he was a junior down at Sutherland. Cornwall having an adventure into the opposition penalty area, swept away by Van Amerongen. Lovely switch from Afuka, perfectly weighted to Olsen's advantage. Just needs support now. Nicolau provides that. Put to the ground by Mustafi. It was all fair though. James Macris, the assistant over there, had a perfect view. Spirit cool and calm to play through the Sutherland press as well.
Was just about to say, Moshi, great work to calm the danger there. Get out of that triangle and hopefully build on it now. But there really is that sense that the cohesion in this team has stayed despite the changes for Spirit. Again, you mentioned those that put in great shifts last year that do remain. Mustafi one of them indeed, and he showed why there. That's going to carry over.
The other big thing is the fact that despite losing those front three of Afuka, Akubo and Konostabo, two within the competition, one playing here today, so they've gone out and replaced them with quality players. Now, Shoki Yoshida, Callum Keeley and Costa Petratos all coming from very different backgrounds, and there's no way of knowing whether they'll be able to match the impact of those three a year ago. Talking about more than 30 goals combined. But they've made a pretty bright start here, occupying the back three of Sutherland, not allowing them time to play out. And Petratos has got the goal that separates us here with 5 minutes to play until half-time. Takami taking the ball through midfield. Nizama started brightly as well. Petratos full of confidence after his goal. Cornwall puts Nizam in a foot race with Van Amerongen, and he gets the better of the big Dutchman. Free kick going Spirit's way as well. Compounds the error. To the delight of the Spirit fans again, Jude.
I was going to say, home crowd loves that. It is indeed a healthy home crowd, as we mentioned early, and getting right behind Spirit and hoping for another big season here at Christie Park. Again, as we reference those up top that can do it, Petratos has looked so good, but there was a lot of talk about Keeley coming into this season and the experience he brings, of course, from England. I'm sure we'll see more involvement from him. Who knows, maybe even a noggin off this corner. This set piece, rather.
Takami to take. It's a deep one towards Mustafi, who's making himself a target from these. Not quite the purchase he was looking for that time. Talk about stature of Callum Keeley. last playing with Avonton Waterlooville down in the Southern Premier League. Bounced around a number of clubs. He's still only 27. This is his first travail outside of England.
Pretty much his first travail outside the south of England as well, if we look at his CV. Eastbourne, Worthing, Dorking, some great non-league clubs. Competitive division, and much like this one.
Lovely touch from Afuka. Is this the moment for Sutherland? Perez's ball, top of the box. Cornwall colliding with a teammate, but did enough. Nicholas has come off second best there. Sutherland building just in time for half-time. Searching for their equaliser. Perez. Afuka. Nicholas is thinking about staying down, and eventually Van Amerongen is going to play the ball out sportingly. Spirit players very unhappy that the play wasn't stopped earlier because they thought it was a head injury, and they're gathering around Hayden Langholz. Just got to be careful here. Grant Cornwall smartly shepherding everybody else away. It's in that new directive in football that's now been brought in to New South Wales as well. A bigger focus on the captains conducting discourse with referees.
Well, I mean, we saw what was trialled at the end of 2025 in the Australian Championship. More so that about the coaches than the skippers, but that reinforcing the leaders. Over the years, football has become you run up. It's a bit like cricket where you appeal how big it is, how loud it is, how many are involved. It might sway decisions, but honing that back in has been a big thing that the referees of Australia and indeed Football Australia and the member feds have been thinking about focusing on, and I feel like we're really going to see that more. It's going to be more on the Cornwall, more on a Daniel Nizic, more on the respective captains across the competition to calculate exactly when they step in and to how much, because then who knows if they overstep the line and they're the sole point of contact. Well, we can only think there'll be cards brandished aplenty.
Just seen the three brought out in this first half by Hayden Langholz in what has been very physical fair. Just going to see another minute or two added on to the first half of this game. And it looks as though we're going to restart. Is it with a throw-in or a drop ball? Rory McFarlane, our fourth official, is standing poised right next to Jordi Perez. And rather than kicking the ball out or playing from there, referees have said play was stopped before that, so Sutherland's able to take possession from a drop ball. And a really sloppy piece of play from Nicolau. Maya for Afuka. Spirit sitting as deep as they have for this first half's entirety. Sloppy pass from Gan, which was easily picked off by Takami. And now Shockey. Spirit might be happy to play keep ball as much as Sutherland allow them. 2 minutes to be added on. Not as much, I have to say, as I was expecting. Killy in the foot race with Van Amerongen. This time the Dutchman wins out, and it's a sloppy piece of footwork. It has not been the calm and considered Daniel Nizic we're used to seeing so far today.
That was a foreseeable bobble, that one. We've definitely spoken about the Christie Park penalty area earlier in this broadcast, but again, it shows there that Daniel Nizic just needs to make sure that he just keeps his wits about him and gets that assertion back, and that he's a solid keeper, and it's not one you expect to make a multitude of mistakes, maybe one or two across a season, but it's not been the most inspiring start from the man in goals for Sutherland, that's for sure.
It's the team of the year goalkeeper last year in Football New South Wales. That one's in from Costa Petratos. A couple of players down in back play, and Pashevsky staying down has drawn the whistle. I think a free kick going in the Sharks' favour as well. Pressure a leaving free kick for the visitors. So what's the message at half-time here, Jude? Not too much has gone to plan for Sutherland and David Perkovic on their trip back to Christie Park.
Well, I think it was to be expected. It's going to take a while. I think everyone was expecting, based on what we've heard about their behind closed doors and off-camera pre-season showings, the solidity in the team. But when it comes to competition time, it is a whole lot different. There is that much more about it. So maybe getting up to within the standard that is to be expected, required, desired of them throughout this whole campaign. Teething issues, I'd say to be expected, but again, we're only talking about the very first 45 minutes of football of this campaign. There is so much still to go in 2026.
And Amarongan's header in the shadows of half-time, only as far as Takami. Shocky for Mustafi, who's still full of running. And the delivery didn't match the run, easily fielded by Nizic. Well, plenty of churn over at Christie Park. Plenty of change. The result is the same to this point. But it's one of the new signings who's got his name on the score sheet. Costa Petratos, after a year out with an ACL injury, suffered in round one playing for Sutherland a year ago, has given Spirit the lead from one of the plethora of set pieces they managed to win. Jude Dolan, Alex Molchanoff with you, and we will be back for the second half. Spirit 1, Sutherland 0. Welcome back to Christie Park. The second half about to get underway in our opening fixture on Saturday. The defending premiers, Spirit FC, lead by a 1-0 thanks to their new signing, Costa Petratos. After a year's injury layoff, he's back amongst the goals for his new club. And one of the pre-season favourites on the back foot, Alex Molchanoff and Jude Dolan, here with you on the Football New South Wales YouTube channel. Jude Dolan, no obvious change from either manager. What will the message from David Perkovic have been to his players?
Well, no obvious changes, but one that we should point out to those watching on at home. Yanni Nicolaou is wearing a number 40 shirt now under the name of Weber, so it is still that man in the white of Sutherland, just a different name. But other than that, unchanged in terms of definitely on the pitch and what was said in the change room. I'm sure the same ambition as they went in to the opening 45 with for both teams. Obviously Spirit having the better of the first half, but only just. And it'd be good to see what Sutherland can do in response in the attacking third in this second 45.
Yeah, despite the fact they were pegged back in their own half for long periods, gave up most of the possession to Spirit, they did still create a couple of clear openings. Not able to trouble Chris Marks beyond one shot from distance off the boot of Takumi Afuka. But Spirit, who are more clinical, they built pressure through set pieces, and they're away down the right through the goal scorer Petratos again here. Teammates with him in the middle. Petratos, still he goes. And perhaps just taking a moment too long, having an option too many.
Well, it was just in the anticipation of an interception or legs flying around everywhere. Yuto was one in there as well. Man retrieving the ball now for Daniel Nizic, but there is so much that you can see from the stars of both of these sides that shows their experience and their quick wit, their ability to weave their way out of these situations. We saw a chance later in the first stanza rather, from Nick Olsen. And similar there, where just if the footing was a little bit right, a little bit more right rather, could have been a clear opportunity on goal, but Petratos waiting as he knew to do and seeing if it would open up. But well done again by the back line in making sure didn't get a full shot off.
There's been a lot of balls like that from Sutherland. Nick Olsen looked a little bit isolated for you at different times over the course of the first 45 minutes.
I think that there's definitely work to do in terms of the connection. Again, I speak about what we can expect immediately and what we'll probably have to wait a little bit for, whether that is, again, as I said, this game or next week or the weeks thereafter. But there's talent all over the field, and Nick Olsen is one of them. But the distribution to him is what we're waiting on.
Back pass that almost put Jamie Peszewski in some big trouble. Sliding challenge was well timed. Now Gang can thrust this one forward. Olsen and Cornwall together again. And again, the decision goes against Sutherland's star man. Grant Cornwall's had the better of that little tussle. A lot of coming togethers between those two off the ball. That one in pursuit of one.
There's a big thumbs up there by Yuto Kukura to his back line in saying well done for that ball over the top, and that's exactly what we just alluded to. The service, whether over the top or from intricate quick passes to the likes of a Nick Olsen. Hopefully that is indeed now trying to start coming. Let's just make sure it's legal and the play continues when it does happen, but it's good early signs in this second 45.
Amarong in getting the initial touch, but it was only as far as Takami, and now Alawali are in a crossing position. Never looked like troubling Nizic. In fact, travel behind that curling delivery. Pace has gone out of this game a little compared to what we started the first half with, but you'd expect that. Round one of this 2026 season. Sutherland's new look squad, which has included 13 new faces, 7 in the starting 11 today for Spirit's Premiership winning coach a year ago, now in charge of the Sharks, David Perkovic. And he's cutting a frustrated figure to the joy of the Spirit fans who cheered for him for for the 9 years previous to this.
Yeah, there was jovial conversation and all the banter upon his arrival earlier on. David Perkovic sort of fizzled out closer to kick-off as the real rivalry sense and competitive nature of getting closer and closer to kick-off started to step in. But I'm sure those fans will continue to throw the humorous jabs. It's just about how the new Sharks gaffer can return them.
And he's bringing down Jordan Perez, who's been on one side or the other of plenty of fouls already this afternoon. He's one of those who's had his name taken in the first half. Again, is close in attendance. This time Perez managed to find his way initially, and then the back heel only landed at the feet of Alawalia. Now Petratos. What's that very picturesque backdrop here at Christie Park on the far side?
Two very lively wide players there that we saw go head-to-head again in Nizam and Perez.
Nicholas with a little Choi got a foot in, and now trying to ride the challenge of Brady Smith. The call from the Sharks bench is that Smith used an arm there, and Hayden Langholtz is now saying exactly that. The yellow cards. We'll just make sure we know who this is directed to. You can hear what David Perkovic thinks. Is this booking for Brady Smith? Yes. But was it before or after the ball went out of play? No. Well, David Perkovic's protests not quite resulted in the decision going Sutherland's way, but there was definitely a disagreement between the referee and his assistant there. And it is a Sutherland throw after all of that.
Well, he's just composed himself, taking a sip of his Gatorade and sort of cooled down the voice box in the throat, which is getting a workout in the early exchanges. We expected it back at the Christie Park dugouts that he's so familiar with again.
His team have looked improved to start the second half. Clever touch, which was cut out by Mustafi. Takami dispossessed by Pashevsky, and then Choi thumping it off Alawalia. Another Sutherland throw down this near side. Quiet. Spirit fan base than was the case throughout the first half. Diving in was Nicolau over the top of Takami. Alawalia with a bit of afters on Nicolau. Smith above Olsen. And Pashevsky with a firm win over the top of Keeley. It's all a bit messy. Might work out nicely for Sutherland. Cornwall had a second bite, didn't get there. Afuka and Olsen's offside. After all of that, it was real scrappy stuff. But through sheer force of will, Spirit survive and get the pressure relieving free kick.
Well, this is where this game is going to be won, lost, contested at least, even if the scoreline does not change. Now we're getting to the point where, of course, that grittiness, that hard sort of physical football that we've seen from minute one, as the bodies tire, as we get into the final half an hour, we're a little bit away from it at the minute, but as we start to approach it, it's really now a case of there's 5 men around the ball at multiple times. And it's getting really congested in there, so it's all about the trickery of players like a Danny Choi. We saw weave through players before, but those that can then expand, create new triangles, create passages of play, no matter how quick they need to do it. The quick wit, we've spoken about a couple of players already that have possessed that, and it's only going to need to show again in the late stages of this one, because as things get congested, there's going to be space outside of it. It's just if it can be found, or if the bodies are just going to flail around and the physicality is going to continue.
It's been interesting to watch because there's been two teams trying to do very similar things to one another. Spirit have just had the method down pat a little more solidly to this point in the match. Nizic high into the Christie Park sky, headed forward by Cornwall. Van Amerongen again with a sloppy pass for Nizic, and nearly played it right into the path of Petratos. big let-off for Sutherland again.
Well, that would have summed up both of those players' days, pretty much. Petratos being opportunistic in finding his way in, and Nizic, well, got to be careful here as he's got the ball at his feet again. Again, as we said earlier, usually so assured. Just not today so far. Needs to tighten things up.
Korkio stepping deep to try and almost provide a calm head as much as play the ball out of danger. He's had a big responsibility at the heart of this Sharks midfield today. Spent some time down with North Sunshine, which is where he was brought over from J3, where he was with FC Osaka most recently. He's travelled 3 states in his short time in Australia. Mark's going route 1, and Gann getting there in the nick of time. Creative midfielder when he won the gold medal with Sutherland all the way back in 2008. Very different stage of his career now after 10 years in Malaysia and a documented battle with cancer. Back to full health, Brendan Gann. It's great to see him as part of the project at the back end of last year with Sutherland. Had a key role in them avoiding relegation. Coming together between Smith and Choi. Choi had a look at the referee, but never really looked as though he thought he was going to get the decision. Cornwall fires near post. And Nizic watchful as it flew past his post.
Well, he'd be deserving the Spirit skipper based on his first half performance alone. One of the most lively, most involved, most energetic. And seeing him hit top bins would really set this stadium alight. As we see just off your screen now, some Southo changes awaiting. It's going to be good to see some minutes afforded to a Miloslav Popovic, who, well, he'll make the most of them, that's for sure. Probably didn't hit the heights that he was wanting to the last couple of seasons, but hopefully he can do so in Sutherland colours.
Did score in a grand final a couple of years ago.
A couple.
But you're right. It's not had the return we thought he might when he returned to Australia. It's been one of the signings David Perkovic has been very keen on. Not given the start today, but can he make the impact they need off the bench? End of the road for Tariq Maya, who did receive treatment towards the end of the first half. And Danny Choi. Been in the wars. And a ring picked up on Miloslav Popovic's finger there by the 4th official before he's able to make his entry. All this while Zayn Alawalia is still down receiving treatment in the centre of the field, which is the reason for this extended stoppage in play.
Elsewhere, coming off the subs bench for Sutherland, Riley Hollingdale, well, a junior through the Sutherland Shire, and of course we saw the statement that was put on the Sharks' socials pages a few months ago about their ambitions for 2026, 7 and 8 and beyond, about how much of their first grade team they're looking to make sure is Sutherland Shire based, and well, Hollingdale's one of them. Como Janali Jr. back in the colours of the local association.
And the change here from a Spirit side of things, an exciting one as well. Sam Armson, very prolific family across the New South Wales leagues. Brother Jack's been one of the highest sought-after players across the competition. Sam's been a long-time servant of the Inter Lions, was part of their cup run in the Australia Cup a couple of years ago, making his first competitive appearance for Spirit today in place of Alawalia. Looks as though he's going into the centre of midfield.
Well played there from Alawalia in terms of how you can slow down the clock with half an hour out. He wasn't even that far away from the touchline, but the smallest of jogs, taking his time to get off. Of course, an elongated stoppage anyway. But they are winding down every second making sure that Sutherland have no confidence of getting back into this, which they're going to try and fester in the next few minutes.
First involvement for Hollingdale, and he's caught on it by the Spirit sub Armson. This could be a bright start. He's brought down by Nicolau. Not enough contact for the referee to award a free kick. Paszewski striding out of defence. And Mustafi with a crucial enough touch.
Thought twice about it, did the referee. But Armson just letting that touch, unfortunately, get away from him. Very decent early flurry for the youngster on his Spirit debut.
Sutherland seeing a lot more of the ball in the second half than they did in the first, but not been able to create a clear-cut opportunity in the opening quarter of an hour of this second half. Nice ball from Amarongan, Van Amarongan, I should say. Perez's ball was low, flicked away by Brady Smith. And the big Dutchman takes it on again. Hollingdale for Nicolau, and now Gan. Kukurio. This is where Sutherland want to be playing their football. And they've got to find the cutting edge to go with the possession. Can Nicolau provide it?
It's not so much where as it is how, just keeping Spirit guessing and waiting and in a defensive manner. The possession has been really, really good.
Popovic with the flick on. Perez trying to make something of the lost cause. Cornwall shepherds the ball behind. He's been full of his usual fire and running, Jordi Perez. Just not quite had the end product today, has he?
Well, not as of yet, but again, it's a collective effort, as we say, about those that he can link up with. I really thought there was one of his first key involvements of the second stanza that a fizzed ball into and awaiting Popovic. If there was maybe a few inches difference between where it landed, that could have set the Sharks alight. But just waiting for that bit of inspiration, I think. And if it comes from one of those wide channels, again, there's opportunity to do so. But if it comes from having to wait a little bit more, be patient, play that possession football, as we've just started to see, and it does look good when it's in action. It's just about the end product, indeed.
Spirit starting to get a little hesitant about getting the ball back in play. Van Amarongan clearing the danger once Spirit eventually did get the ball back in play. Smith clearing header. It's all developing a little slowly from a Sutherland perspective. Nizic, who's not had the surest afternoon with his feet, and that put Gan in a tricky position. Shockey across, the throw goes the visitor's way. Shockey taken late by Nicolau as he looked to try and affect the challenge. It's been a bright start for Shockey Yoshida in Spirit colours. There was another free kick out of the former MacArthur ball.
Well, a lot of the talk coming in for Spirit, again, about players to replace and things from Premiership season to keep momentum on, is, of course, the loss of the Japanese superstars, not only Afuka, but Iwakubo. If they can be replaced by the likes of Ashoki and Riku Kobayashi as well, be just as fruitful.
Takami lining up from long range, and Nizic saw it all the way. Gathers at the second attempt. It's been a second half short on chances for both teams to this point. It's gone from a gung-ho pressing affair to more watchful football in this second half. Press coming here, led by Keeley, though, for Spirit, and they force the turnover. Hollingdale's challenge. The throw-in goes Sutherland's way again.
Yeah, there's that little bit of fight that's probably been missing in the last few minutes. As it's, for some viewers at home, you'd probably prefer it. Some like the more physical football we saw in the first half, but as it's become a game of possession, keeping that fight up again, 50-50s like that one right there, and this one as well. Got to keep continuing as the battle goes on.
Ricochets galore in there. Eventually, Nicolau prods it clear. Smith returns the favour.
It's pretty much the exact football I was alluding to.
Has been an intensity to this fixture over its entirety. Even the troughs in the action. Still been a real feeling. So much on the line. Yes, only one game, but a tone-setting one. The lights have joined us now at Christie Park as well. Artificial light starting to take over from the natural on an overcast evening. Great touch from Keeley. Shockey's touch looking for Petratos. That's a promising sign for Spirit as well. The front three linking up so effectively in their first outing together.
Yeah, exactly. He'd just be waiting for some service, Keeley. He wouldn't want to drop too far back and have to be the one providing it. You'd expect that that cohesion does continue. Here he is on the ball now.
And he's looking to line up a shot. Eventually, Van Amerongen, between he and Pashevsky, put enough pressure on him. Armson's header. Petratos knocks it down for Nizam, but he's has it taken off his toe, and then one back again. Mustafi running into the firm figure of Nick Olsen, but keeping the football. And now there was contact behind play. Pashevsky and Keeley have been going back and forth all day. James Macris is the one who's going to have had the best view of this. The assistant on the far side. It was well and truly in back play, the coming together between Keeley and Pashevsky. Players surrounding Hayden Langholtz, who's got a big decision to make. The view from the Sharks bench is that there should be very firm action taking against the Englishman. Langholtz is now making his way over to discuss what all unfolded with James Macris.
We're just looking at the replays here of the broadcast, and well, an off-the-ball incident to say the very least, for those of you that would have seen it. It's rather a stamp on the back of the...
Whatever happens here, I think it's going to be the big talking point of the afternoon. A real potential to swing momentum in either team's favour. Spirit holding on to this 1-0 lead given to them by Costa Petratos less than 10 minutes from half-time. His first competitive start in Spirit colours and his first goal. And a great return in his last full season for St George City, but we are waiting on the discussion between Hayden Langholtz and his assistant James Macris to give us an answer. Jamie Pashevsky brought down by Spirit striker Callum Keeley. And still Pashevsky is down, receiving treatment. Hayden Langholtz calling over Spirit's number 9. Will there be a card? If there is, what colour? Grant Cornwall trying to make the argument for his striker. Daniel Nizic, the Sutherland captain and goalkeeper, over in attendance as well. And the colour of the card is yellow, but that's a second for the Englishman, and he is off.
It is very silly, it must be said, from the Englishman. Again, for those that had the chance while we were awaiting the decision to go back on the footage and have a look through the reason why, well, I don't think there's much debate. This game was bound to have a moment like that, maybe in the heat of the action rather than a sneaky attempt to get a one-over behind play, but either way, it's not good for either party involved.
An ignominious start to Callum Keeley's Spirit career. Now his team are going to have to get through the final 20 minutes here. A man down. And Sutherland are going to be hoping that Jamie Paszewski is not ruled out for too long. He is really not in a good way after that off-the-ball challenge. While all this is happening, Spirits are going to make a couple of changes. Riku Kobayashi has been the other big talking point of a signing, as well as Finn Ballard McBride, brought across to the club from Sydney United, where he ended last season. In the meantime, Sutherland's getting ready Paszewski's replacement, Lachlan McDonald. So the changes all confirmed. We've had more than 4 minutes pass since Hayden Langholz's whistle went to dish out the discipline to Callum Keeley. And Jamie Paszewski is unfortunately not going to be able to continue. So McDonald takes his spot on the field. Rejigged back three for Sutherland as they continue to chase this game. A moment of controversy in round one. Will it thrust Sutherland towards an equalising goal and perhaps a winner in the final 20 minutes here? Richard Shueki's equaliser here last season came on 74 minutes.
Well, the instruction there you might have heard from David Perkovic to his bench, just to focus on the football, focus on the game at hand. I'm sure we'll talk about the controversy of the moment. That's for us to do as pundits and fans of the game, but for those that are in the midst of a gripping contest here, whether on the pitch or off it, indeed need to keep their heads, and that's the whole reason we're in this situation talking about a red card anyways, because the head was not kept. So got to make sure the remaining 21 on the park do so.
Brendan Gadd wide for the substitute McDonald. Hollingdale with a heavy touch and then goes stretching in on Kobayashi, who's just been brought on, and it's a Sutherland yellow card. This game is taking on more than a bit of feeling, more than it had at the start of the afternoon. You can hear what the Spirit fans are saying there to Riley Hollingdale, who has been one of the brightest talents to come out of Sutherland, spending time in both the Bulls and Wanderers academies. That was not a touch befitting his talent. Just a moment for everybody to take a breath and focus on the football again. Spirit still in the ascendancy. Has descended into a lot of grittiness and a little bit of silliness every now and then in the second half from both sides. The more basic tenets of the game might be enough to get Spirits over the finish line and give them all 3 points in their first game of the season. Ball lobbed over the top by Afuka, who was taken late. And there's a free kick for the visitors. It was Armson who just stepped in a little late there. Sutherland's former charge tried to lob that one into a dangerous position. They'll get a chance to now from the set piece.
Might be costly this if used right by Sutherland. It's a little moment like that that could change the complexion. There's still so much life, as we've seen in this one yet, though. Not calling anything the final blow.
So Spirit all too aware of the ability Jordi Perez has from these situations. Will he go for goal, or will he look to land it on the head of a teammate? Long line of bodies at the edge of the box. It's the latter. Marks with a brave punch over the top of Smith. Gann with a miss hit. Almost played into his hands. And now the referee calls a halt to play because Marks clattered into the back of Brady Smith, and although Sutherland are unhappy about the stoppage, it is the right decision from the referee to stop play.
I've got to be honest, it was rather cheeky conniving from Smith there, where you could see as he waited to see the team that took possession, just how much he wanted to take his time, and indeed he's taking it now.
Marks has actually gone over as well.
I think it was Marks on the initial one. It looked like quite a coming together, as you'd expect a flailing keeper to find himself in a situation a few times like that. He looked like he was all right, but I think all available breaks and breathers for the 21 men on the park will be much utilised, as the full extent of the body has been needed in round one and will be needed for another 29 plus more rounds and cup competitions, which, you've got to say this, no doubt that these two won't be competitive in.
Smith being bandaged up actually around the elbow, so that won't please Sutherland's bench too much. They are going to get possession here from a drop ball, though. Ball that's spilled out to Lockie McDonald on the near side. And it has been a very stop-start last 15 minutes or so. So now play finally gets restarted again. We've barely had a breath in the first half. We've had plenty of time to assess things in the second half. Nicolaou's long ball towards McDonald. He managed to get ahead to the on-rushing football. Behind harmlessly for a goal kick, and Spirits are running down more clock.
It'll be the true definition of a hard-fought 3 points, to say the least, if they do manage to wind down the clock enough to suck any momentum out of Sutherland.
We expected it to be physical. I'm not sure we expected it to be this physical as it has become in the second half.
Well, that was the fear. If it becomes more physical than tactical and about the excitement of the ability of the players. Again, I referenced earlier the ability to weave out of tight situations. There's moments like that where magic can happen, but again, a second chance to say our tagline for 2026, it is real football. So it will be as gritty as it needs to be for a Spirit looking to continue on from the momentum of Premiership season with a round one win at home over one of the hot prospects other than themselves.
Nicolaou's header forwards. Popovic has barely had a touch. He's not had too much action since he was brought on 15 minutes ago. Gann. Nice first touch from Perez. Took him inside. Costa Petratos. Cocorio was looking for players ahead of him. Couldn't find any, so forced to play it back to Van Amerongen. Gann. Spirited deep as we've seen them sit all afternoon. Hollingdale. Gann. McDonald's looking for the underlapping run of the 37-year-old. Not able to reel the ball in, and Nicholas fires clear. Feel like this is setting the tone for the last 10 minutes or so. McDonald. Again, Sutherland forced to build from the back. Nicolaou. Switch flanks since the substitution of Paszewski. Coming together with Callum Keeley, that's been the big talking point of this second half. Saw the Englishman given his second yellow card and sent off. Spirit defending the one goal lead given to them by Costa Petratos half-time with 10 men. Hasn't really been a clear-cut chance for either team since then, has there, Jude?
No, not necessarily, but there's definitely those looking to make it happen. See the pressure of a Popovic on his last man, eager, waiting for, again, that service that we referenced for both sides has been a bit of a teething issue early in the season. Nicola, of course, would be looking to make something happen as well. Sorry, Melchi.
Olsen has drifted out to the right after starting today centrally. Who can find the cutting pass? Nicola. Not with efforts like that.
And that's where the inspiration is lacking. As they look again for some fresh legs this time, Sutherland will look to the bench. It's going to be the experience of a Brendan Gann that makes way for a Jacob McLaughlin, another local boy. He'll be looking to make an impact on not just this fixture, but this season and that badge as a whole.
He's gone into defence. He's a defensive player. Djokovic is staying in the back three for the moment. Wonder if that changes. Ty McGowan, the only, well, in fact, Gian Fiorese is there as well. A couple left in reserve. McGowan, who became a more and more regular fixture in Sutherland's starting 11 towards the end of last year. The smarts of Takumi Afuka have won Sutherland another attacking set piece. Perez was on the money with his last delivery from this sort of situation. The radar still working nicely. Another ball that will spin away from Marks, and that's the question of the Spirit defence. It's not as well struck. Might fall for Nick Olsen though, he's got space. Took a deflection, almost set up for Popovic. And Marks will lead another couple of seconds off the clock.
Playing with fire a little bit though. The Spirit number one, he has to be careful there.
That is his way. Gorgeous piece of distribution right onto the chest of Costa Petratos, who turned it over. And then Perez ran into Grant Cornwall, who wanted a free kick. The referee decided both were just holding their ground. This is a test that Sutherland are going to be presented with plenty of times this season. Those who know their quality and will be happy to sit deep against them. McLaughlin, nice touch from Popovic. And now Afuka, hurdling a couple of prone Spirit bodies. Half clear by Nicholas. And a poor turnover as Armson got involved. It's a gorgeous ball in behind for Ballard McBride, who's got the better of his defender. Ballard McBride! Off the inside of the post. Spirit fans had started celebrating.
Well, the Spirit bench as well. They were half on the field of play. How unlucky for a youngster who's really come to life in the last sort of 6 to 8 months of football. If he could do so in his new colours here on opening day, that would have sealed it.
Do not take your eyes off this one now. Could go either way. 10-man Spirit almost finding their second. Petratos taking up the attack. And Ballard McBride's got the wrong side of Van Amerongen again. Returns it to Petratos. Hollingdale there heroically. But turns the ball behind for a Spirit corner.
But they have to use this momentum now, do Spirit. 84 on the clock. And if they're going to solidify this one, it's not going to happen by winding down the clock when you've got this sting, this potential to sting. A 2-goal buffer could be theirs if they use set pieces like this correctly.
Will Petratos actually deliver this centrally? Ballard McBride made the run. Now the delivery. Cornwall knocks it down. Not cleared. Armson Swung a boot at it, and Miloslav Popovic is the man who is back clearing the danger. Mark's cool as ever, and then Olsen sloppy and late.
He is good at playing with fire, as you say, Mulchi. He's come off ginger for it, but he has made it a specialty. Still down is the Spirit keeper, while we're focused on matters elsewhere.
More than anything, Olsen, I know, desperate, wanting to make an impact, wanting to have the start he might have dreamed about, but it's just given Chris Marks, as much as anything, an opportunity to eat more time off the clock. Hayden Langholz has just pointed to his watch, indicating that he'll add all of this on. Reminder as well, if you're going to find where to watch back the highlights, all the match reports, reaction, you can head to NPL NSW on Instagram, Facebook and X. On the highlights of today, all the reaction from both camps, regardless of the results. And you can do that for all 8 matches across the round. We had 2 finish up last night. Manly United 1-0 winners against St George City. That had upset in some eyes. Sydney FC 3-2 winners over the Southern Districts Raiders. And Marks finally takes the ball on. St George FC and Wollongong heading towards half-time at Barton Park, and you can find that game where you found this one. St George leading by 2-0. Petratos' ball, dangerous but evaded. Spirit substitute Riku Kobayashi. Three minutes of regular time to play. We're expecting quite a bit to be added on. Spirit down to 10 men after Callum Keeley was sent off for his second yellow card. Challenge that took Jamie Paszewski out of the game. All that after Costa Petratos, in his return to football after 12 months out with a very serious knee injury suffered in round 1. Emotional goal for him in his first competitive fixture in Spirit colours. Kobayashi getting the right side of McDonald and drawing the free kick. Been a lot of desire from Sharks right fullback. A little bit overzealous in going into that challenge. Probably didn't need to.
They've got to be careful now in these last few minutes because, again, as we've referenced so many times on this call, that battle of tactical play and physicality. You're going to have as much in the tank on the physicality side now, so you have to be sharp, quick-witted. There will still be bodies flying in, that's for sure, though, but it's about how often and how effective.
Nice work from Takami. Just snuffed out the Sharks' start of an attack. Backheel from Petratos, picked off by Nicolau. He's happy to go route 1 for Popovic. Nicholas has seen this all before. Cool as a cucumber.
Done well.
Ballard McBride returning from an offside position. Time ticking away from the Sharks, who have never lost at this ground. It's been a day full of firsts. It was one they were looking to avoid. McLaughlin. Deep, but without a white shirt anywhere in the vicinity. Spirit very close to the 3 points now.
Well, there's Perko protesting again. This time it would be namely McDonald that's hearing his protests, but just about the lack of action at the far post. Yeah, so many of those balls being flipped across and opportunities for lateral ones coming from the side most occupied by a Perez, who's been lively. Finding only the back heel of Popovic or Spirit defenders, but when they're coming down that channel and looking to go right over the top, there just is no one that too far advanced. We can see now McDonald occupying that right flank. He might have a touch here, indeed he does, as 8 minutes goes up from the fourth official. Is that about what you expected?
I have to say it is, Jude, because we've had that many stoppages for injuries. The red card decision took about 3 minutes by itself, 4 minutes by itself to come. Bonus football for us here at Christie Park. And Sutherland somewhat buoyed by the fact they've still got plenty of time left here. McLaughlin. Wide for Perez. Cornwall across to block. Perez wants to go with a long throw. He's just waiting for reinforcements towards Popovic, away by Cornwall. And Petratos wins the free kick off Perez. And you can see the reaction of the Sutherland left back. He can't believe it. Got to be careful. He's one of those names carrying a yellow card next to it.
To the bench they'll go again, Spirit. They're really, really good at winding down this clock. Kyle Williams is the latest to take his bib off and prepare himself for what you can probably still say will be 8 minutes of action.
Another one of the retained Premiership winners from last season. Played a big part in the Australian Championship as well. Jamie Paszewski spent some time out with injury. Nicholas Clever heading home to Marks, and then Popovic, who just slipped as he was looking to pressure the goalkeeper. There's no intent, but he did catch him. Whistle's belated, but it's in Spirit's favour again. No protest from Mili Popovic. Well, quite the story brewing. There were plenty ready to write off Spirit after so many outgoings. They have stood up here. Well worth their lead in the first half and have defended gamely in the second. Managed the clock well after going down to 10 men. Their English signing Callum Keeley was sent off for a second yellow card. Petratos looking for a second.
Got a feeling he's going to be a fan favourite here at the Arctic Circle. Every time he gets the ball at his feet, he looks inspiring. Looks like he wants to do something assertive with it, and that's the kind of magic, the creativity that these fans will be getting used to seeing in their front line. The stars of the show, though, are at the back at the minute.
Perez, who'd been disappointed he hadn't had more decisions go in his favour, has won a free kick off Costa Petratos this time, and that's going to be his last contribution. A fine return to the NPL for Costa Petratos. His goal looks likely to be the winner, unless Sutherland can find a very late stoppage time equaliser. Kyle Williams, the additional defender brought on. Interesting the timing. You don't see coaches do it too often at defensive set pieces. Perez to deliver. It's an accurate one. Cornwall stooping to get something there, and the appeals for handball are a bit half-hearted from Sutherland and waved away quickly by the referee. They get the ball back in play quickly with McLaughlin. Olsen, one of their deepest now. They want him in attacking positions. It might fall for Mili Popovic. Tried something clever. Armson's clearance came off his skipper's head. And a strong challenge from Kobayashi, which has taken him away down the right. Olsen having to recover defensively. Still Kobayashi. Last-ditch defending from Hollingdale. Beautifully timed challenge. End-to-end stuff in the dying stages. Perez over the top for Afuka. Sweeping up with Smith, prevents the corner.
Yep, done very well to do so. That urgency is finally there for Sutherland. It was lacking for most of that second half, I feel, but now they really know they've got to get a wriggle on.
McLaughlin's ball in again. Nicholas, highest amongst the crowd that time. Nicolau for Olsen. Who can he pick out? Blocked initially by Takami, goes for goal. And it wasn't too far from dipping under Chris Marks' crossbar. From the best part of 30 yards. Not to be yet for Sutherland, though.
Well, why not are the only words I can say. Ball drops to your feet, you know that the bobble is favouring you, that bounce. You know you can get some oomph behind it. You know your name's Nicholas Olsen as well.
Been far from a dream return, but that would have salvaged a point. Might have felt as good as a win from a Sutherland point of view. McLaughlin without the required commitment, but he did manage to recover and win inside the throw. Reminder, we're expecting 8 minutes. Those applause you can hear through the effects mic for Costa Petratos, who is finally returning to the Spirit bench. His goal is the one that separates us. Perez into a wrestling match with Williams, strong enough to hold him off. McLaughlin's cross. Cornwall again in the way, as he so often is. They might only have one more bite now, Sutherland. The Sharks who have lacked just that today. Olsen holds out Mustafi illegally.
Well, you'd be excused for thinking the full-time whistle had just gone, because the Spirit faithful are just holding on, waiting till they can burst out and say, thankfully it's over. Supposedly only a minute left until they can do that, but I think we both know, and all watching at home, that won't really be strictly the case.
Reminder as well, a Derby d'Italia coming your way tonight. Marconi Stallions and Apia Leichhardt, who played the match of the championship in the quarterfinal, kicking off at 7 o'clock down in southwest Sydney. You'll know that one stat better than me, Jude. Was it 5 times those two played last year?
An exhausting amount. They managed to draw each other for the 6th edition in 12 months. Can report we're 20 minutes into that one. 0-0 between the two Italian-Australian-based sides, who are among those putting on a show in 2026. And these two will be right up there. We talk about the clubs that we can expect it from, an Apia, Marconi, a Rockdale. But there are new names emerging in this competition. Northwest Sydney Spirit in their 4th year of the top flight. The reigning premiers are well in that picture. Sutherland Sharks, well, they'll be hoping to inject themselves into it. After being in relegation battles for so long, Molchi.
One last roll of the dice. And the final whistle goes. After a moment's hesitation, but the Premiers are victorious on the opening day. All the turnover, the emotional return of David Perkovic, but it's his old side who've got the chocolates thanks to a goal from their new signing, Costa Petratos. A year after he was ruled out of 2025 with a knee injury. He's back against Sutherland to score against them and hand 3 points to the Premiers on the opening day, Jude Dolan.
Gutsy, gritty, and all the words of the like, because Northwest Sydney Spirit came into this one knowing it was going to be a battle, knowing that there was so much talk about the potential to reclaim the heights of last year, this season, this time round. There were talks that back-to-back was on the cards for David Perkovic, but not for the team that he was coaching when he last did it. But so the spirited side this afternoon is indeed the Spirit. And Sutherland, well, again, I spoke earlier about the cohesion, and it might take a little bit of time, maybe just teething issues tonight. They just missed out in a few key parts of the play, namely in that final third, making something really happen. But I've got no doubt with the talent that they've got across that squad that it's going to happen. But this well-contested, I don't want to say the R-word rivalry too soon, but we'll see how it eventuates. Has gone Spirit's way. It's been a pleasure calling it with you, Mulchi, for all of you listening on the Football New South Wales YouTube channel tonight.
The rebuild starts on the wrong foot, but for Spirits, a day of victory again here at Christie Park. The final score in round one, Spirit FC 1, Sutherland Sharks 0.